Well, hello, fraud and audit friends and family. Imagine a mysterious musician releasing track after track after track, but no one really remembers hearing any of his songs. Yet somehow, these songs are everywhere, raking in millions of dollars in royalties. Now, let's take that a step further and imagine that this artist doesn't even exist, and imagine that the music doesn't exist either. Join us this week on the Friday Fraudster as we explore how not to make $1 million in the music industry. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right, friends. So let me ask you all a question. What's your favorite album and why? What is your favorite album and why? And since I'm asking everybody else that, I am going to ask Christine, and we're going to see what is
Hey,
your favorite album
right now?
all time?
Oh, that is really difficult to ask me because we're older, so I've gone through stages. So I've had when I was younger, New Kids on the Block, that sort of stuff. Then I got into like Metallica, yes, that kind of stuff. And then so now like I'm really on listening to Chappelle Rowan.
Chappelle Rowan. I don't think.
Chottogo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know if it's because like I listen to the pop stations because my kids are in their teens and stuff like that. But if you probably look at my playlist, it's very eclectic. Lots of different music.
So I'll tell you, anything that's fairly new, I don't know it
Mm-hmm.
because music has changed so much over time. The new stuff just doesn't. I just don't know it. It doesn't do well with me. Now, Marsha is saying the Manhattans, Black Tie. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I love Bruce Springsteen. I'll listen to Michael Jackson. I mean, I have a lot of vinyls here for my parents. Like I have the Chicago box set.
Ooh,
I have Fleetwood Mac, like
yep.
all the stuff from their originals. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we have some of that too. And then Sticks and Men at Work, we got some of that. And throw the odd one in there, some Kenny Rogers.
now you're making me want to look up my Spotify playlist.
But do you remember back in the day when you measured music based on the number of records sold? You
Oh
remember
yeah,
that?
I think they
Yeah.
still do that. But I mean, if you go into Target now, even I feel like I can see vinyls more than I see CDs.
Yeah. So odd that you mentioned that. They started back making vinyl because the kids, the real audiophiles, they understand vinyl actually sounds better than the CD. The quality is crisp on vinyl. I picked up a couple of vinyl albums like 2018 or 19. Check this out at a Barnes and Noble bookstore.
Ah,
Isn't that
well,
crazy?
yes, I did live in Tennessee for 10 years, and my ex-husband does have his recording engineering degree, and the reason why it sounds better is because vinyl doesn't do compression on it. So your vinyl has that truer sound.
That is
Um,
right.
yep.
Now, and I remember when I was younger, you would always wait until Tuesday because that's when the new music was released, and you would go to the music store and you would buy either the tape or the CD, and then you would wait until the next Tuesday to get the Billboard charts to see how many records they sold and where they ranked. And I remember gold was something like 100,000 CDs sold, and platinum was like 1 million, or maybe gold was 500,000. Yeah. um Silver was 100,000, I think, and then gold was something like 500,000 or something. And I know platinum was 1 million. I don't remember gold or silver because they don't count for anything because they're losers. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're right. They do it based on album and single. Platinum's over 1 million. Gold is over 500,000.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. And so if you went platinum within your first few days, that means you had a very successful album.
I was cheap. Well, I didn't have a job. Did you ever do it where you had your boombox and you had a tape and you'd listen to like the top 10 at 10 or the top 10 at 9 and you would hit your record button so you
Oh,
could
for
get your song
sure.
on a tape?
Yeah.
I used to do that too for using our VCR so I could tape certain music videos that I really liked.
Right. Well, and there was a technique to it, right? So if
Mhm.
you had the technique right, you knew how to cut off the radio DJ talking just in time for it to start, and then how to cut it off so that it faded right until the end. And then if you were me, you were one of the only kids that had a double cassette deck, and so you would take the tape that you just made, dub it for somebody else, and then sell it to them.
Oh, I did not. I was not that smart. I was not that. Well, we already know. We already know, Rob. You're very entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial? I can't even say that word. I am not. You are an entrepreneur. I am not. You knew what you were getting into at a young age.
I think so. Now, Thomas says, Happy Friday, and he agrees with you, Christine. It's hard to narrow it down right now, right? And Marsha says, keep those vinyl because they are worth some money.
I
And
got
then
a lot.
Thomas says, there's a record store in a local mall there. Both his kids have their own record players. Yep. It's, and then don't get me started in like late 70s, early 80s when you would get your turntables and you would start mixing and scratching. I mean, that was a totally different thing altogether. I remember everybody wanted the Technique 1200 turntables because they were like the best thing ever, because the traction in them, you could just, anyway, you could do some crazy stuff. But I digress.
I wouldn't have scratched. I would have gotten my butt whooped. I would have. Yeah, I got Aerosmith. I have to grab them. Maybe I should start playing them in my office while I'm working.
Oh man. So nowadays though, they measure, or artists get paid um, based on the number of times their song is played on streaming services like Spotify and Apple and stuff like that. I remember seeing something with Snoop Dogg where he was saying, look, we're only getting pennies each time our entire songs are played. This system is broken and it needs to be fixed.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
you remember Napster?
oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you were streaming it and they weren't getting anything. And of course, that's when Metallica came back out because they weren't getting. And I think they were looking at it more for they knew they were making money, but it was all these struggling artists that you were putting it out on these streaming platforms to get your song out in hopes that people would. Because even back then, you had Napster, but people were still buying cassettes, CDs. Because what did you have for a streaming service? You had to like download it from Napster on your computer, and then you had to what at that point transfer it over to your Apple Nano.
Maybe, but there were other ways to do it too.
So you're probably more tech savvy than I am, because that's what I was doing. I was downloading on my computer, then uploading it to my little, because our iPod, like I want to call them iPods, pads. I don't even know what they were called anymore.
It was the Shuffle was like one of the first iPod devices or Apple devices.
but you
It was a
couldn't.
little small one, about that big. Well,
Yeah,
first it was the iPod, then they moved from the big iPod down to the uh,
yes,
shuffle.
the shuffle. It was. I had the little square one.
Yeah,
But I'm like, today, what we can do with our phones, you couldn't download it directly from that device. You had to upload it to the device.
yeah, yeah. Now that is true, but also back in the day, people actually still were buying a lot of the albums. Like, because what was happening was I had a CD collection, but I still have a CD collection. And for some stuff, I was just ripping it into MP3 format. And for other stuff, bless you, uh I was just buying it over again. But yeah. And so now everybody is streaming and artists are still trying to get paid, but apparently there is money in streaming. Apparently.
Right. I stream everything. I can't even remember the last time I bought a song.
Me either.
And if you really think about it, keep in mind I stream music. I stream audiobooks when I'm going to and from work,
Mm.
all from Spotify, right? And I pay $9 a month. So, and I drive 1 hour to work, 1 hour back when I do go into the office. Do you know how much listening time that is?
That's a lot of listening time. That is a whole lot of listening time. So I imagine that you could probably become a millionaire in the music industry if you have a good song that a lot of people are streaming. Don't you think? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Gabe is back, my man. Thank you for joining, Gabe.
Welcome back. I promised to be good today.
Hmm?
Oh, he was being fun last week.
Oh, Gabe is Gabe. We love Gabe. So I imagine that artists can make a lot of money in the music industry just by streaming if they create a song that people like. Like I said, Snoop Dogg said they're only getting pennies on the dollar. But today, what we're going to talk about is a North Carolina musician who was defrauding the streaming services to the tune of approximately $10 million. $10
Yeah.
million. Isn't that something?
It it is. And I think I look at it from the perspective of not just the streaming services, right? So you've got that. There's certain artists that I see popping up now that made it big because people are sampling their music off of streaming services, utilizing it for background music on other platforms like TikTok, stuff like that. So then when people hear those little excerpts, they go, "Oh, I want to hear that song," which then they go back to the streaming platforms, stream it. And I think that's how people get kicked off, like, start their career and making it big. But it's not like they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars just off of that streaming. It's not until people start sampling more and more, and then they start going to their shows, start listening to their songs more frequently. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why today's story really intrigues me. All right, guys, let's get into this because we've got a special treat for you all today. But what we're talking about is a gentleman who back in 2018 created fake music and uploaded it to the streaming platforms. And see, I don't even know how to broach the subject because I mean, I guess it wasn't fake music, it was real music. He used artificial intelligence to create a bunch of songs. Now, after he created the songs, he uploaded them to the streaming platforms. But before we even go there, let's go back. First, he was a musician creating legitimate music, and he started uploading his own music, but nobody liked it. So he
Right.
didn't get many sales. Then he started using artificial intelligence to create music, and he uploaded these songs to the streaming platforms. Now, here's what I want to ask you all. at this point, is anything wrong with that? Him creating music using AI and uploading it to streaming platforms. Christine, what do you think? Anything wrong with that?
No. And reading all of this, I'll wait till the end. I was struggling. Were you struggling?
Only a little bit. Because I think I get why he is in trouble. So, for everybody listening, Gabe, Brent, Marsha, if someone creates music using AI and they upload it to a streaming platform, is that wrong? Is that in and of itself a crime? I don't think it is.
I
Christine
would
doesn't
say
think it
as
is.
long as it's not plagiarism, as long as they're not utilizing the core keys in a progression where somebody could sit there and claim likeness. They don't have to worry about that. But even if he utilized his own songs, uploaded it into the AI platform, and had them recreate, taking what he does, recreating new songs, how is that any? I mean, I'm sure people right now are using AI to create NFTs.
Oh, that's a good point.
How is that
Now,
any different?
I knew somebody was going to say this because this is one of my thoughts too. So Thomas says, I see very little difference between this and using auto tune for a singing voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So far, I think most of us are on the same page. He generated some music using AI, and that's A-OK. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's what he did next that got him in trouble, my friends. Now, you guys, you just want to hold on for this one. After he uploaded the music to streaming platforms, he then used some software to create bot accounts. So he got some purchased email addresses and used this bot software. And what the bot software did was it went in and streamed his songs multiple times per day. As a matter of fact, in some instances, he was streaming 600,000 streams per day, giving him annual revenues of about $1.2 million. This was in 2018 when it started. I had no idea you could do that back in 2018.
And he wasn't stupid about it either, because he was modifying his IP addresses to hit from different locations. So we already know this is why it took so long for it to be uncovered. I also think AI was newer back in 2018. So did any of these streaming platforms even realize that this was a possibility? And he uploaded these songs under different band names.
Yes. Now that's where it gets interesting too, because some of the band names are quite quirky and
How did he come up with these?
just, I don't know, bland. Like, for example, Callous was the name of one band. Callous Humane was another band. Callous Post was another band. Callousness was another band. You see where I'm going here?
Mm-hmm.
So he just ran in alphabetical order and just created a bunch of names for companies, I mean, for bands that he could use.
You let me know when you're ready to hear my dilemma.
Okay, we're almost there. Now, Marsha, it says, yes, it's crazy and misleading. So Marsha's the only one that says that the AI music in and of itself is a bad thing. Is a bad thing. Gabe, you could use AI to make me sing some classic albums. You really could.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know. Richard Simmons with me, I don't know about that. I
Oh,
mean,
come on.
Olivia Newton-John maybe, but I
Oh,
don't know.
you're the one that I want.
Okay. So, like Christine just said, He hid his IP address. He had the bots logging in from various locations to
Mhm.
cover his tracks. Now, here's what I want to know though. Um, when you think about Bitcoin and how it operates on the
Mhm.
blockchain, that is essentially what you're doing. You're using bots to mine the Bitcoin to
Mhm.
check the integrity of the Bitcoin.
Right.
So my challenge is I'm just going to ask. Now, I have my opinion, but I'm not going to express my opinion now. But I'm just going to ask this question because I got to play devil's advocate. How is this any different from Bitcoin mining?
Right. So that's where I'm kind of going with this.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Okay.
So let's say I'm streaming my music while I'm in my office, right? And I'm working. I'm not really listening to that music, but I'm streaming it, right? While I'm doing my work. That person is getting paid, right? So I have a hard time with when they're sitting here and saying that these songs were not being legitimately streamed. Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, what do you mean? That there wasn't an actual human listening to it? Is that what legitimate means? It's not like he was somehow modifying the way that they're counting a stream. Like he had to have the whole song played.
Ooh.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm keep in mind, I'm not saying this isn't against the streaming services rules that they have set. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
probably have the small print where it says you cannot do this kind of stuff. But like I guess that's so he's being charged because humans weren't listening to it. Is that essentially what we're getting to? Is that
You
the
know,
fraud?
you bring up a good point because now you've got me thinking a little bit differently. So he's being charged with money laundering conspiracy.
Mhm.
And from what I read, and I'm gonna oversimplify it, but he didn't get the money in legitimate ways. But to the point that you're making, whether he set up a bot or not, it was streamed.
I mean, how is it any different than Taylor Swift telling all of her friends to stream her music?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Understandably, I know it's real people listening to it. I guess that's where, and I'm not sitting here and saying he shouldn't have been caught. I think it's ethically and morally wrong.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't mean I have a hard time with the legality of it outside of maybe the streaming services suing him because he was in violation of their
Of their terms of service.
of their
Yeah.
terms and services. Like I can see that, but we're talking about legal charges. Now, if he didn't claim his income, yes, tax evasion. Then that's a whole different story.
So you know what? I think to add on to what you're saying, because this thought just popped in my head. What if when I left the house every day,
Mhm.
I left the streaming service on so that my dog, and I don't have a dog, but if I had a dog, so that my dog could listen to the streaming service.
Is that legitimate? Your dog's not going to go buy anything off of the advertisements that they're running.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that artist isn't going to gain anything from your dog listening to it, but they're still getting paid out of your $10 a month subscription. So I think that's what I'm having a hard time with is their use of legitimately streamed.
I think I'm there with you, and I'm with you where morally, yeah, it's wrong. Ethically, it's wrong. But I'm trying. I've been trying to read a little bit more about it. Um, yeah, I think you're right. Now Gabe is saying he could use AI to make a fake LinkedIn profile and blow up his influencer status like me. You know what, Gabe? I
But
think you should go for it.
well, and here's the other thing. So, like what Gabe sits here and says, right?
But yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
could do that, right? And it might be in violation of LinkedIn's terms and conditions, correct? But then I would challenge it back and say, how many of us real people are connected with bots on our LinkedIn platform. So does that put us in violation of the terms and conditions of LinkedIn's agreement?
You
Yeah.
know that's something to think about. Now Brenda's saying similar to leaving the radio on for the dog before there was streaming services. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh wow. Gabe says his dog already tells him that he hates his music, so that plan wouldn't work. Okay. So now I want you all to hang on tight because in a few minutes we are going to make our own AI music. So let me just pause for just one
Ooh.
moment. I always say that internal auditors should experiment, because you should know how things work, because we have to sometimes think like criminals. You all have seen me on this show do a live face swap where I change my face into a bunch of different people live on air. If you are not pushing boundaries and gaining better understanding of things and how it works as an auditor, you might need to rethink stuff. Because I know even Christine, not even Christine and I, we talk, and she's working on a couple of things that are really, really cool. We can't talk about them though, but they're really, really cool. You know what I'm talking about? The whole other banking thingy where
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I know.
So we have to constantly push boundaries. But now you got me thinking real hard though, Christine, because when I look at the charges, yeah, it's money laundering conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, I think, for each charge, if I'm not mistaken.
So I could see where they could potentially get him on the money laundering if, but I guess like I'm just sitting here and thinking about it. He got the money for streaming his music, which is a legitimate way of obtaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having that hard connection. You can't sit here and tell me there's AI songs out there that people are streaming that are real songs and everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
And I understand they're saying millions in royalties that should have been paid to musicians, songwriters, and other rights holders whose songs were legitimately streamed. Okay, taking out the legitimately streamed, just because he uses AI, he had to put the inputs in for AI to generate the song that he wanted. So you can't sit here and say that he isn't a musician, he isn't a songwriter. Because at some point that AI output would have had to have come to him and he would have had to have said, yeah, that's what I want. Now, did he really go that in depth? Probably not. But nobody's complaining about streaming white noise through your Spotify account and those people getting royalties.
Oh, that's a good point.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or the nature songs and stuff like that. Like, are they taking money from musicians and songwriters? It's no different than art. Some people are going to look at a painting and really love it, and other people are going to go, "Why did you pay so much for that?"
That's a very good point. Okay, so let me ask you all, what type of song do you all want to create? Do you want to create a rock song, a rap song, an old R&B song, or a jazz song? What type of feel do you want?
I'm going to put it out there for a country rap song. Let's do a little
Oh,
Post Malone country feel. Don't know how
let's
people
see
would feel about
here.
that. We should let
Let's
everybody
see.
else vote. Can you put a poll out there?
Can I put a what now?
A poll for everybody to, I know it's my
Oh,
Wisconsin accent that's coming through. A poll.
I cannot right now, but here's what we're gonna do. I am going to share my screen, and
Ooh.
so you can see right here, I just put in upbeat country. And the songs are already generated. There's a 90-second song right here. Let's see what it sounds like. That actually sounded pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what the next one sounds like. Ooh, Thomas says a rock and rap crossover. I'm wondering.
Now, can you
Uh,
add more to that? So can you do what Thomas said, a rock and rap crossover? along the lines of Run DMC and Aerosmith.
I don't know. I'm wondering if it will do that. I just put in rock and rap this time just to see. And then, okay, let's see here. Um, I don't know if it actually knows songs, but we're about to find out. But the other thing is, let's see what we have here. I actually like that.
Mhm.
Now, I can edit this if I want to. Uh, so I can remix the melody. I can do remix the drums or even the chords. I can add a little bass or I can take some out. I can shorten it. I can decide where I want the actual drop to be. So this one has no drop. Let's do a drop. Let's do a drop early on, somewhere up in here. And let's update this track. Now, there are actually tools out there now where you can actually have a singing voice with it. You can create a song, pick your style of singer, and it will create the music as well as the singing with it. I didn't want to use that one because I thought that might be too much, because this is enough. Uh, so let's see. I mean that sounds pretty darn good.
I can just see this being the next thing where people are going to generate these, somehow copyright them, and then they're gonna sell them to actual artists to use.
I mean, I would. It's you know okay. Let's try another tool and see what it comes up with. Okay, let's try. I think I want to hear some uh house music, upbeat house music. Anybody remember house music? Wonder what happened to it. Let's see. And I don't know if you caught that, but I can use up to 5,000 characters to describe what I wanted, and I only use like 12. So you could probably get very intricate asking for bass lines and all kinds of stuff. I just don't feel like being a real prompt master right now. um, okay, so
Like a
if you
slow
just joined us,
progression, hard hitting chorus line. Rob, you got to put out a CD now.
if, wait, so for Thomas, did you like that Run DMC rap rock crossover? Let's see, what do we have going here? Let's try this one. All right, let's see. Let's see how can we let's see with a funky bass line and uh booming bass. How about that? Let's go a little deeper. So if you guys are just joining us today, we're talking about a young man who created music using AI, uploaded that music to many of the streaming platforms, and then that's not why he got in trouble. He created a bunch of bots to go in and stream his music so that he could collect royalty payments from the streaming. And now he is facing charges of I forgot, I just said it, and now I just forgot already. Um, wire fraud conspiracy. Yeah, he's been charged with wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy. and each
Right.
of those has potentially a 20-year sentence. So let's see what our new. I'm wondering. Let's see.
I mean, I feel like I could just listen to this while you're doing this, Rob, and get so much work done today.
All right, so I just updated it. Oh, this one says work best for 100 words. Sorry. It must have been the other one that had 5,000. But let's see what it comes up with now. I just keep adding stuff to it. This is I don't know. It's just kind of fascinating the things that you can do and the things that people come up with. But I really am wondering, when are we going to have, or if we already have, AI music on some of the streaming services? It didn't do what I said about 15
Wait,
seconds after.
hold on. Should be coming up if it's gonna do it. Right here.
I'll be gone. I'll be gone. That is insane. Now let's go back to this one. I wonder what'll happen if I use this same prompt in this other one now. I'm just
Did you
really
like that?
curious.
Did you like that I knew when that was kicking in?
Yeah, I'm just really curious now as to what uh let's see. I don't know about this one. I put in upbeat house music with a funky bass line and booming bass with a break beat after 15 seconds, but this title here says 90 seconds slow epic pop. So let's see.
So when you look at your lines on your music there, see how it's kind of where that pink is?
Yeah,
Wherever you get those longer lines, that's where your stronger beats are coming in. So it's
yeah,
giving
yeah.
you a preview somewhat.
I don't think that's what I described.
Kind of reminds me of what is it? The Irish movie. Braveheart.
Oh, yeah, they can take away our lives, but they
I
can't take
I
away
think
our
I'm more
freedom.
laughing at the names like Freeze Thaw, Two Face, Three Flights Down.
Is that like Three Doors Down? Okay, okay. Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. I hope that everybody else could hear it because you and I could hear it. But that's just kind of amazing to me.
Yeah.
That is just amazing. Thomas, what'd you think? You like the music that we came up with? I mean, if the whole audit thing doesn't work out, maybe we have a second career. We can have Gabe as the backup dancer, and we, we can definitely have Gabe as the backup dancer.
Yeah, I'm
But
still wondering. I understand that these streaming platforms have anti-fraud policies. The only way that I could see this being a US district attorney's thing is if there's actual laws in place.
oh,
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm asking. I don't know if anybody would know.
did you see this? I this says remix your own song. Upload a link and Beat Swap will generate a vocal remix of your track. They only allow Dropbox links. I
Okay.
guess well, that is weird. Hmm, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
So although I'm wondering now that I'm thinking about this, because we brought up Napster, right? I wonder if, because Napster had to get shut down, right? I'm wondering if the laws that were passed because of Napster somehow covet this, unless there were laws put into place fast enough.
That's a good point. You know what? Let me let's see.
Now, I do understand there are some people that are fraudulently taking songs, modifying them a little bit. So now they've got copyright infringement. But even then, nobody goes to jail for copyright infringement, do they?
I I don't know. Hold on. Now, because we have AI and because it is so prevalent, I think I found our answer. So he is charged with violating several laws related to fraud and money laundering, specifically wire fraud, 18 USC Part 1343. This law makes it illegal to use electronic communications, such as the internet, to execute a scheme to defraud someone of money or property. And he did defraud, I guess, the streaming services of money. It's saying Smith allegedly used automated programs to stream his music, misrepresenting the nature of those streams to obtain royalties. Second thing is wire fraud conspiracy, 18 United States Code 1349. This charge pertains to an agreement between two or more persons to commit wire fraud. So Smith's collaboration with others to create and stream AI generated songs constitutes such a conspiracy. Now that was interesting because, I mean, what if they were actually legitimate listens? And then the third thing is money laundering conspiracy. Um, uh, this law prohibits conducting financial transactions that involve proceeds from criminal activity with the intent to conceal the source of those proceeds. Smith's actions to obtain and transfer the fraudulent royalties could fall under this statute. Could. Now, the three that I just said, these are all coulds. I'm not saying that this is exactly what they've used because that wasn't apparent even from the U.S. Justice Department documentation. But wow, okay, so
I mean, the guy got away with a lot of money. Um,
there's
but
10 million.
then, like, why are like district attorneys and stuff going after places like Ticketmaster that use bots to purchase large amounts of tickets when there's an actual regulation, the bots regulation out there that prevents them from buying those and reselling them? Like they're making billions on fraud. Or I shouldn't say fraud. I don't know. First world problems, right?
Yeah, so I'm reading the actual affidavit, and the funds that he took from were in a pool called the Mechanical Licensing Collective, and
Okay.
it's for the right to digitally reproduce and distribute songs. So it's known as the digital mechanical royalties. And so the streaming platforms, they send information and money into that pool to proportionately allocate and disperse payments from that pool. So I guess um oh wow.
Sorry, I think I just shut my power strip off.
But like you said in the beginning, Christine, though, a lot of it does boil down to streaming fraud is prohibited by the streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
and music distribution companies and rights organizations. So,
And it took me a while to get to this where I was like, man, now I understand if the companies themselves are using bots to stream and bolster their users, because that's another fraud that could be essentially done. So I'm guessing that streaming, but he was streaming on multiple platforms.
ah, you
Apple.
you want to hear what else though? The plot
What?
does thicken. He also used false names to sign up for bot accounts and used debit cards in false names to pay for the bot accounts. Let's see. Oh, and in an email in 2018, he emailed two of his co-conspirators and said, "We need to get a ton of songs fast to make this work around the anti-fraud policies these guys are now using." Oh, I just didn't realize that artificial intelligence was that intelligent back then. Uh-oh, Brenda's saying 1341 is mail fraud. And I lost Christine, you all. Okay. Yeah, Brent, money laundering typically isn't charged by itself. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why we were very confused with this one, just trying to figure it out. Because morally and ethically, heck yeah, this is definitely wrong. But trying to figure out the exact who, what, why, when, and where's, that was where it was very, very, very confusing. Because it's one of those things you look at it and you know it's wrong. You're looking at it and you're saying to yourself, this is 100% wrong. But now you're trying to figure out, why is it wrong? How is it wrong? What is the actual law that we have that says that it is wrong? So, if you are just joining us today on this episode of the Friday Fraudster, what we're talking about is a gentleman who defrauded the streaming music platforms, and he started it in 2018, where he created songs using AI, uploaded those songs to the streaming platforms, then created fake accounts, then created another bot that would stream that music so that he could get paid. They're saying that he was making upwards of about $1 million a year. Started in 2018, really came to a head only a few years ago, and he's been charged with quite a few different things: money laundering, wire fraud, and things like that. So that is very interesting. And if you missed a few minutes ago, we showed you how to make music on your own and stream it using AI, using some platforms that I use. And I'll say what I always say: auditors need to understand new technology, how it works, and we need to sit down and think about how it can be used to defraud others. So if you're an auditor for Spotify or any other streaming service and you've never even thought about this, then shame on you. Now, I say that halfway in jest, but now I think it's time that you get a good understanding of how these things work, because you just saw me create several songs within 10 seconds. So, yeah, I'm with you, Brent. It is a predicate offense to charge money laundering. It takes a predicate offense to charge money laundering. Yeah. And that's, I think that's really why we were struggling. What was that offense? Like, what is it? Where is it? But after reading the affidavit, I kind of have a little bit better understanding, but it's wild. She's back.
I must have said something my computer did not like and it shut down.
Big Brother is watching. It's 1984. Yeah, I was just kind of wrapping up and summarizing because
Yeah.
this is wild. Because at the end of the day, I don't think creating AI generated music in and of itself is bad. The bad part is that he defrauded the streaming services by creating these bots to stream it all day. Um,
And he only had to make the songs, I think it was just over 30 seconds in order for it to count. So it's not like he had to do a full 3-minute song.
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot
So
about that part.
all your sampling that you were just showing everybody, you could start streaming music. Should we start streaming Rob's music channel?
So okay, I was actually thinking about doing it on YouTube because I had created this AI playlist that I like, and what I did with it was, have you ever heard of the? I'm gonna say it wrong. The Pomodomo
Nope.
technique. So, okay. So it's a technique of getting stuff done where you work intensely for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break, and then you go back to doing intense work for another 10 minutes. So I
Okay.
had created a playlist that ran for that length of time. And when it stopped, I knew that it was time for me to take a break. And so I almost started streaming it to YouTube just so other people who were trying to be productive could use it too. But I did have that thought because I read YouTube's terms of service and they didn't have anything against that as long as you declare that it is AI. Because anyway, so I've got this other thing that I'm working on, and I created an AI video recently with some AI talking heads, and I uploaded them to YouTube this morning, and I had to check off that this is AI. So YouTube doesn't have a problem with AI as long as you declare it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Marsha's saying those laws are intense, and then Brennan's saying, yeah, me too. That's what he was struggling with. Like, yeah, what, you know, you
This is
know
where
what's
you
wrong.
have, yeah, this is where you have those specialized attorneys that understand that industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So you know what? While I'm here, let me make a small announcement, just a small one. I have a new SaaS product that helps you write a perfect LinkedIn profile. Okay, there's no such thing as perfect, but almost perfect. I'm looking for some people to test it out for me. So if you want to improve your LinkedIn profile, Thomas looked at it recently, like a week ago. I fine tuned it based on some suggestions from him and a few others. Basically, it's to help us get visibility on LinkedIn by communicating what it is that we do better. Message me if you want early access to this thing so that you can test it out for me. I guess what I'm looking for is some beta testers. Thank you very much.
oh, this was a good story today.
Yeah, wasn't it? And thanks to Galena for sending it. And she's not here. She's I think she's trying to get back in the country, but thanks to Galena for sending this to me today. Baby. So anything else you want to leave the people with today, Christine?
No.
Me either. This was a doozy. This was wild. And I hope everybody could hear the music because I think I set it up right. If I set it up wrong, hopefully somebody would have yelled at me before now. But yeah, that is episode number 156, Stream Dreams.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again.
We'll see you all next week.
Have a good one.